What to do if God wants to destroy the world? Faced with humanity's harm to Earth, God decides to reboot the world, sending 7 messengers named after the Big Dipper stars. They plan to eliminate all humans in 7 days, and only by defeating all 7 messengers can humanity hope to survive. Returning to the story's beginning, the anime's protagonist, Hibiki, is waiting for his friend. The boy Hibiki and his friend Daichi discuss their post-graduation plans at a cafe. Daichi reveals a popular new app called Nicaea, a dead face site that shows a friend's future death scene when their photo is taken. Hibiki dismisses it as just an attention-grabbing app. Later at a subway station, Daichi spots Nita from another class. While Hibiki teases him about his crush, they laugh, but then receive a message. It's a video from the Nicaea app showing them getting crushed by a runaway train. They look at each other, puzzled. Daichi thinks it's a joke, perhaps just an animated video, but the video's subway station eerily resembles their current surroundings. As the announcement for Train 2's imminent arrival blared, Hibiki felt uneasy and urged Daichi to leave quickly. Just then, the ground shook and a runaway train charged directly at them. As they made a life-or-death choice, the Nicaea app completed downloading a demon summoning program. Hibiki miraculously revived, surrounded by devastation. Many were crushed by falling rocks. Daichi also revived. Before anyone could recover, they saw werewolves feasting on bodies. Nita screamed upon seeing this, alerting the werewolves. Frightened, she swung her phone and surprisingly summoned a goblin demon that killed the werewolves. Shocked, Daichi summoned a ghost. The werewolves stood no chance against the goblin and ghost. Confused, the trio decided to flee to safety. They then examined the demon program on their phones, detailing the demons they could summon after their life and death choices, part of the Nicaea's summoning program. Though unsure why they could summon demons, they chose to leave. The city looked as if it had suffered a massive earthquake. They watched a news anchor report the disaster. Daichi and Nita called their families to check in, but suddenly the phone signal cut out. Rescue teams tried to enter the subway station but were blocked by a mysterious organization now controlling the station. Daichi mentioned their families had gone to shelters. Hibiki was about to comfort Nita when a distant explosion occurred. Staying was not an option, so the trio decided to head to Nita's house. Elsewhere, the commander of the mysterious organization observed the city devastated by the disaster, now classified as a D-level disaster. The commander authorized the use of the summoning program. At night, Hibiki and his friends found a place to rest. Then, Hibiki saw something flying in the sky. It was Dubei, the first messenger sent by God, resembling an ice cream cone. Its upper part was for attacking, the lower part for moving, and its head would expand and explode, regenerating afterwards. Dubei fired grenades indiscriminately, leaving the unarmed people defenseless. Hibiki urged Nita to activate the demon summoning program. As Dubei attacked them, and just before being hit, the previously summoned goblin demon reappeared, blocking Dubei's barrage with its body. At that moment, Hibiki received an email from the dead face site showing Daichi dying in a truck. Dubei then launched an ultrasonic attack. The goblin could no longer withstand it and was destroyed. Meanwhile, Daichi drove a truck towards Dubei. Hibiki's emotional surge activated the program, and a giant blue pillar of light appeared. Observing from above, the mysterious organization saw this light, from which a lightning-clad Byakko emerged, shocking the commander that a divine beast could be summoned. Byakko easily dodged Dubei's attacks. However, being a divine messenger, Dubei repelled Byakko with 2 shockwaves. Using the walls to jump into the air, Byakko dodged Dubei's grenades and launched an attack. Together with Hibiki, they struck the final blow. After the battle, Byakko disappeared as well. Watching the burning truck, Hibiki was about to feel sorrow when he suddenly heard Daichi's voice from the sky. It turned out that Daichi was rescued by Nita's second spirit just before the truck exploded. Just when they thought everything was over, they were already being watched by a mysterious organization from afar. The higher-ups at the headquarters ordered the capture of the 3. It turned out that the mysterious organization was JPS, a government agency investigating geomagnetic conditions. As Hibiki and his friends were being captured, a white-haired boy was watching them from a distance. The JPS investigation department took Hibiki and his friends to their base and confiscated their phones. They entered a grand room via an elevator, where a large clock in the center appeared to count down to the world's destruction. Someone hidden in the shadows observed Byaku's summoner. The room was filled with investigators monitoring events around the world. A woman introduced herself as Makoto, the action team leader. The JPS organization serves as a national barrier, created to combat supernatural beings and demons. Hibiki felt everything was surreal, yet he had indeed summoned a demon to fight. Then the chief commander of JPS, Yamato, arrived. He mentioned that the divine beast Byaku summoned by Hibiki is one of the legendary 4 divine beasts. Yamato wanted Hibiki to join their organization, but Hibiki didn't even understand why he could summon demons. Makoto explained that they had successfully decoded magical spells into mathematical formulas, enabling people to summon demons, which was not originally accessible to civilians. The reason why it appeared on their phones was still under investigation. Yamato stated that the first messenger Hibiki defeated today was just a foot soldier. 6 more messengers remained, and only 6 days were left. If these messengers were not defeated, the world would be eroded and then vanish. The messengers were sent by God to exterminate humanity, commonly known as the Big Dipper, with only 7 days to act. JPS wanted to utilize Hibiki's power, and he could choose whether to join them or not. After returning, Hibiki did not share these details with his companions. On another note, an investigation revealed that the demon summoning program downloaded on their phones was different from the one developed by JPS. This program allowed users to obtain demons based on their capabilities, and if the summoner was not strong enough, they could be killed by the summoned demon. The source of this program in civilian phones remains unidentified. After investigating, Makoto drove them back to the shelter. Along the way, the city appeared deserted, as if foreshadowing the apocalypse. Upon arriving, Makoto returned their phones and left the shelter. People around were discussing the existence of demons, with some having seen demons and others witnessing them devour humans. Hibiki went to a church, where children played, adults were melancholic, and the elderly prayed. While he pondered everything, a demon with a human head and bird body named Itsumaid attacked, aiming to devour a boy. Hibiki quickly activated the summoning app. Makoto, who had not gone far, noticed the fight. Byaku effortlessly killed Itsumaid, but then a flock of them flew in. Nearby, a human was killed by a demon they had summoned, causing their phone to go haywire and endlessly summon Itsumaid. Byaku used a thunder strike to annihilate many, but they seemed endless. During this, Itsumaid launched a sneak attack on Hibiki, but Makoto intervened just in time. The two decided to split up. Makoto quickly found the out-of-control phone. Byaku used a thunder strike to destroy the remaining Itsumaid. However, the gathered crowd did not cheer but were fearful. They were afraid of Hibiki, who could summon demons. Only the boy who was nearly devoured expressed his gratitude to Hibiki. Following this battle, the 3 decided to join the JPS organization, both to protect their companions and to guard the world. The next day, God sent the second messenger, Merak, resembling a giant flying fish with strong defenses. It had 3 attack modes: releasing drones, emitting lasers from its entire body, and a deadly supercooled light cannon. Numerous tanks aimed at Merak from a bridge, forming the first line of defense. As Merak appeared, all cannons fired at it. After being hit, Merak extended cylinders that split into countless drones, flying towards the tanks and exploding upon contact. This destroyed humanity's first line of defense. Merak then continued towards the barrier surrounding Osaka. If the barrier fell, Osaka would disappear. Makoto ordered that all combatants in Osaka form a human barricade on the road to stop it, as Merak's combat power exceeded expectations by more than 10 times. The scene shifted to the rooftop of a tall building, where Hibiki stood as Osaka's last line of defense. Soon, Merak reached the outskirts of the barrier. Numerous Itsumaid, summoned by the second line of defense, attacked it, but these were ineffective against Merak. Merak then extended its cylinders to emit lasers, instantly annihilating the second line of defense. Faced with this devastating power, people under Osaka's barrier intensified their magical input into the barrier. By then, Merak had reached the barrier tower and launched its supercooled light cannon. Fortunately, the barrier tower's defenses blocked the first attack, but everyone powering the barrier was killed. If hit again, the barrier tower would be destroyed. Merak's path of attack left all humans destroyed by the cold. Watching everyone die, Hibiki could no longer bear it and wanted to join the frontline battle. However, Makoto ordered him to stay put, but Hibiki hung up the phone instead. Yamato had anticipated Hibiki would go AWOL and had already arranged for Nita as the backup. Hibiki rode Byako to the battlefield, where Merak had reached the third line of defense. The soldiers, seeing the unscathed Merak, lost morale. Hinako comforted her subordinates, insisting they still had a chance. The third line summoned angels and adopted a human wave attack strategy. Merak immediately released countless drones, which decimated the angels. Just then, a drone evaded the angels and headed towards Hinako. At that critical moment, the drone was struck by lightning and destroyed. Byako had launched the lightning strike, obliterating the drones in the air. Hinako confronted Hibiki, asking why he was there, but there was no time for explanations. Hibiki commanded Byako to attack Merak, but the lightning was ineffective. Merak launched indiscriminate attacks, killing the angels one by one. Byako leapt into the air for a physical attack on Merak, but to no effect, and was struck by a laser instead. As a drone flew towards Hibiki, Hinako and Byako shielded him with their bodies, absorbing the explosion. Hibiki woke up from unconsciousness, seeing the people around him who had died. It turned out that in facing Merak's attack, they had used angels and their own bodies to block the damage. Witnessing everyone's death, Hibiki felt powerless for the first time. At that moment, the previously mentioned young man with white hair appeared. He introduced himself as Alcor, an old friend of Yamato. He claimed that all the problems were caused by Hibiki's desertion, and that Nita had replaced him at the final defense line. Alcor's words seemed intended to awaken Hibiki's potential. Elsewhere, Nita watched as Merak approached. This was Osaka's last line of defense. If they couldn't defeat Merak here, Osaka would be lost. Surprisingly, Nita summoned Kikurihime. Facing the incoming drones, Kikurihime easily dodged them and launched a sonic attack at Merak, causing visible damage. Encouraged by the successful attack, Nita pressed on, but soon suffered a backlash. Kikurihime was hit by a laser. At that moment, Merak opened its massive mouth, preparing to fire a supercooled light cannon at Nita. Just then, Hibiki launched an attack. However, Merak was not interrupted from charging its attack. Hibiki, using all his strength, prepared for the final blow. Byako's blue lightning turned red, transforming into a bolt that struck directly at Merak's face, obliterating its core. Merak vanished into smoke. Just as Hibiki thought everything was over, Merak attempted a final counterattack, but was split in two by an attack. Someone then stepped forward, reminding Hibiki to never let his guard down until the end. Meanwhile, a JPS branch was overrun by rioters led by the person who had saved Hibiki, named Kuriki, a former JPS member who had defected from the organization due to certain events. Kuriki warned Hibiki that Yamato was a very dangerous person and hoped Hibiki would join him. Daichi and Nita wanted to understand why Hibiki had joined the rioters, so they secretly boarded a train to Nagoya. Just as they were about to disembark, they received an email from the Dead Face site showing an image of Hibiki's death. Meanwhile, the communications of the infiltration team sent by JPS headquarters were cut off by operatives in Nagoya, indicating the rioters were well prepared. Makoto mentioned that the next emissary of the gods would appear in Nagoya, but their intentions remained unclear. The scene shifted to a young couple in Nagoya, Torai and Airi, who were members of the JPS organization and would play key roles in the upcoming battle with the emissary. By this time, Daichi and Nita had infiltrated the rioters' group. They were suddenly stopped by an older man. They thought they had been discovered, but he was only distributing food and joking that the government was unreliable and that they would lead the people instead. Suddenly, an explosion occurred, and a swarm of cell-like demons attacked. Daichi immediately summoned a demon to fight, but was quickly defeated. Nita, more skillfully, summoned Kikurihime and eliminated the demons with an omnidirectional sonic attack. However, more demons appeared. Just then, a burst of flames incinerated the demons, and to their surprise, it was Hibiki. Nita called out to him, but Hibiki didn't respond. and just walked away. Meanwhile, Daichi asked the organization's members for Hibiki's address. Rebel group members captured a JPS infiltration squad and accused them of withholding the truth, questioning if they intended to ignore civilians in danger. The squad members were at a loss for words. During this, Kuriki and Hibiki arrived and returned the squad members' phones. Kuriki revealed why they must stop Yamato, explaining that Yamato plans to eliminate the Big Dipper stars and become the ruler of a new world, using people of this era as pawns. Kuriki, a former police officer who had joined the JPS-N terminal, learned of Yamato's plans to use the emissaries for massive destruction on Earth before creating his own new world. Knowing the truth led to Yamato wanting Kuriki dead, prompting his defection to the rebel forces to avoid becoming one of Yamato's fighting machines. However, Hibiki felt that being a tool was acceptable if it meant protecting the world, to which Kuriki disagreed, not endorsing a world created by such a person. Kuriki then took Hibiki to the core section, where the personnel discussed Hibiki as the youth who could summon Byakko and Suzaku. Kuriki announced that if the JPS prophecy held true, the third divine emissary would appear in Nagoya that day, and defeating this Big Dipper star would solidify the rebels' position. On the third day, as predicted, the third emissary would appear at noon. The group returned to the base to strategize. At this time, Daichi and Neda arrived, and the reunion was joyful. Once they calmed down, Daichi shared the death image of Hibiki he had received and urged Hibiki to return with them. However, Hibiki didn't want to leave, knowing the third emissary would appear there and his strength was needed. Seeing Hibiki's resolve, the two decided to stay and protect him. On the other side, Ari and Tori stormed a stronghold, and the rebels immediately surrounded them. They quickly defeated the rebels' demons. At that moment, Kuriki and Akie arrived and subdued a cat demon. Kuriki wanted to negotiate with Ari, but she continued to command the cat demon in combat. The sound of the battle reached Hibiki. As the standoff continued, the ground began to tremble. A subordinate reported that the proximity data was rapidly increasing, signaling the emissary's emergence. Surprisingly, the emissary appeared right in the center of the rebel stronghold. Lightning struck around the command center, causing explosions that created a black hole through which the emissary, Fekta, appeared, resembling a gem-like cylinder with a hardness greater than Merak. It had two attack modes, one emitting lasers from the cylinder's center, and another involving splitting. Everyone was still in shock from Fekta's formidable presence when Kuriki summoned a demon to attack first. The others followed suit, but their attacks didn't even scratch Fekta. Then, Fekta stopped spinning. Crystals extended from its sides, inserting into nearby buildings to draw power. A laser beam then scattered their demons. Kuriki realized the danger. Fekta intended to shut down the base. If the base lost power, they couldn't maintain the Dragon Stream barrier, and another hit could destroy Nagoya. Fekta continued to drain the headquarters' power. Seeing this, Hibiki commanded Suzaku to attack, interrupting Fekta's power absorption. Then, a sonic wave also hit Fekta. Nita and Otome joined the fight, with Otome summoning the deity Sarasvati, who could continuously drain Fekta's magic. Faced with the trio's relentless attacks, the crystals on Fekta's cylinder were about to explode. Suddenly, Fekta burst into a golden light, initiating its second form by splitting and firing penetrating lasers at the three demons. Hibiki ran forward, trying to summon Byakko, but the program was still starting up when Fekta aimed at him. A laser shot towards him, and at the critical moment, Sarasvati blocked the deadly strike. However, Hibiki's phone fell, and the summoning program was forcibly terminated. Hibiki was cornered. Was his death prediction about to come true just as Fekta was about to shoot another laser? Yamato arrived in time, astonishingly able to cover half his body with a demon's power. With just a roar from Hellhound, Fekta was shattered, and then vanished into ashes. Thus, the third emissary of the gods was destroyed. By then, the JPS organization had retaken this branch and controlled the rebel forces. Hibiki questioned Yamato, "With such power, why not fight alone? Why let others die because of your orders?" Yamato responded that these sacrifices were necessary for the day of reckoning, needing only pawns that could defeat the Big Dipper, and invited Hibiki to rejoin JPS. Kuriki then accused Yamato of intending to use Hibiki to defeat the Big Dipper and then plunge the world into chaos to rule over the New World. Yamato claimed that the New World needed a powerful leader. At that moment, the rebels arrived, and Hibiki summoned Byakko to oppose Yamato. Suddenly, a voice emerged. It was Alcor. Alcor explained that Yamato came here upon seeing Hibiki's death prediction, which only friends can see, suggesting Yamato regarded Hibiki as a friend. Hibiki was skeptical. Yamato clarified that he was only considering the upcoming intense battles with the Big Dipper and needed Hibiki's combat strength. Despite Yamato's claim, I sensed some friendship in his words. Alcor then asked Hibiki whether he wanted to stay with the rebels or join JPS. Desiring stronger power, Hibiki chose to join JPS. Kuriki, however, objected to Hibiki being used as a tool for JPS's battles. Alcor asked him to be quiet and let Hibiki make his own choice. Suddenly, a demon carrying a torch appeared, named Bifrons, one of the 46 great demons. Everyone was surprised when the demon spoke. Then, Eri attempted to summon a demon in retaliation, but Bifrons launched a column of fire. Tori held her and dodged the attack. The group realized Alcor did not use a phone to control the demon, raising suspicions about his nature. Hibiki asked, "Are you also a demon?" But Alcor denied it. Summoning programs were continuously activated around them as the rebel squad arrived, only to be defeated by Bifrons. Alcor explained that the demon summoning program they used was distributed by him, leaving everyone shocked. He believed humans were too fragile to stand against the messengers of the Big Dipper. Therefore, Alcor created the Nicaea website to provide them with the means to respond. All this ends with the arrival of the messenger tomorrow. On the fourth day, the fourth messenger sent by the gods, Megrez, appeared. It has 3 bodies that function as one entity. All 3 must be killed simultaneously. Otherwise, the undamaged one will rapidly regenerate the others, potentially allowing for infinite regeneration. Covered in spikes, Megrez can launch them like missiles. Its attack method is straightforward, yet defeating it is challenging. Before Megrez's arrival, the JPS organization conducted a physical examination for all members. The reason for this check will be explained later. At this point, signs of Megrez's emergence were detected simultaneously at 3 locations. JPS used a demon transport tool to send people to different areas. Hibiki and 3 companions were assigned to Osaka, and Hinako was alive, even gaining a new demon. Kuriki and the rebels took charge of Nagoya, while Yamato alone was responsible for Tokyo. As Megrez was about to land, everyone in each area became highly alert. The Nagoya team initiated the attack. Otome summoned Sarasvati to drain Megrez's magical power while the others attacked. Despite tearing a wound in Megrez, it quickly healed. Meanwhile, in Osaka, Hibiki's group also tried to halt Megrez's advance. Daiichi attempted to help by summoning a newly purchased demon, but the demon canceled the summoning upon seeing Megrez. Then Hinako summoned the new demon Berserker, who broke Megrez's exterior with a Pegasus Meteor Fist, exposing its core. Hibiki immediately summoned Byakko, who shattered the core, but Megrez quickly regenerated itself. Facing Megrez's attack, both teams engaged in fierce combat. The scene shifts to Tokyo, where Yamato effortlessly confronts Megrez alone. He summons the Demon Lord Baal, one of the 46 great demon lords, who immobilizes the whole of Tokyo, restricting Megrez's movements. Megrez retaliates, but its numerous spikes are shattered by Hellhound, showcasing Yamato's formidable strength. Yamato instructs Hibiki and Kuriki to continue attacking until the core is exposed, timing their assaults with his. Meanwhile, in Nagoya, Megrez continues advancing towards the barrier tower, as does the one in Osaka. They must defeat it here. At this moment, Hibiki receives a message on his phone from the Dead Face site, showing an image of the Nagoya team's demise. He immediately warns them to leave, but they decide to stay and fight. Back at the base, everyone watches as Megrez nears the barrier towers in both regions, hoping for the best. In Nagoya, Irie sees Megrez press towards a location filled with childhood memories with her father. The numbers on her phone app keep rising. Kuriki activates Plan B. collapsing the ground beneath Megrez with explosives to trap it, and the team intensifies their attack. However, Megrez continues its advance, seemingly unaffected and nearing the destruction of the barrier tower. Just then, Eri's emotions peak, and she summons a new demon as the app reaches its limit. Megrez is pierced by ice, exposing its core. Elsewhere, Berserker blasts Megrez's surface again, revealing the core. Yamato, controlling Baal, strikes at the core. The people in Nagoya thought they had won when suddenly the vanished Megrez launched countless spikes, attacking them. Kuriki and Otomi sacrificed themselves to protect Airi and Tori. Despite the death forecast, they couldn't escape. Faced with Kuriki and Otome's deaths, Hibiki went alone to the overpass, feeling as if everything was a dream. Suddenly, a voice nearby spoke. This is not a dream, but reality. It was Alcor appearing. Hibiki asked Alcor, "Are you a demon? Is it fun to toy with humans?" Alcor calmly responded, "You are mistaken. I am not a demon. Why not save humanity? Because this is a trial for humans, and Polaris oversees the trial. Polaris maintains order in this world, and created the Septentriones to test humanity due to their destructive actions." Hibiki thought that destroying humanity seemed too far-fetched. At this moment, Alcor revealed he is an auxiliary star, a device to uphold Polaris's ideals. As a device, he should obey all of Polaris's arrangements, but he did not comply this time. He even created the Demon Summoning app, giving humans a chance to resist the Septentriones. Knowing all this, Hibiki felt confused. He then asked if Yamato also knew everything, to which Alcor affirmed. If humans don't demonstrate their will to Polaris, the world will revert to nothing. Hibiki then noticed the city ahead seemed to be vanishing, shocked beyond belief. He had thought only the city was being destroyed, not that everything would disappear, erasing the very existence and concept of humanity. This was a dimension-reducing strike. The Day of Judgment lasts 7 days. Defeating the 7 messengers, humanity will face Polaris's judgment for the first time. On the 5th day, Polaris dispatched the 5th messenger, Alioth, which is 50 kilometers long and resembles a demonic claw. It attacks by emitting constant light from its core and appears in the ionosphere, about 1,300 kilometers from the ground. However, its truly terrifying aspect lies not in its life, but in its death. Airi and Hinako were summoned to the command room because they are key to defeating this messenger. To defeat Alioth, a specific demon needs to be summoned, and Airi and Hinako are the best candidates. When the operation began, Hibiki rushed in to ask why they weren't attacking. Makoto explained that this messenger, Alioth, would appear outside the Earth's surface, and the demons they commanded could not reach it. At that moment, a subordinate reported a reaction from Alioth's appearance. Meanwhile, Hinako was already at the Shiva Summoning System venue in Fukushima, and Airi was arranged to be at the Kamadeva Summoning System venue in Hokkaido. To clarify, in mythology, Shiva and Kamadeva are enemies. Both sides were ready, and the summoning ritual began. Shiva is an uncontrollable and powerful destroyer, but also has a penchant for dancing. Hinako, coming from a family of dancers, could attract Shiva with her dance. Soon, the summoning program responded. Airi was also summoning Kamadeva, a lustful demon lord who is fond of young girls experiencing their first love. Airi had to use her charm to attract Kamadeva. The summoning program quickly showed a response, and Kamadeva was successfully summoned. At the moment of Kamadeva's appearance, they used a demon to bind him and move him upwards, positioning him within Shiva's attack range, right at Alioth's core. The plan utilized the animosity between Shiva and Kamadeva, prompting Shiva to attack Kamadeva with his divine spear. The spear engulfed Kamadeva instantly, but didn't stop there. It continued towards the ionosphere, piercing through Alioth's core. The operation was a success, and everyone quickly evacuated back to base. At that moment, Airi noticed the sky darkening as if night were falling. It turned out the true horror of Alioth wasn't during its life, but in its death. Unlike previous messengers that vanished like smoke upon death, Alioth's remains would fall to the ground. This characteristic of the 5th messenger meant that 500 cubic kilometers of debris fell from 1,300 kilometers in the sky, with an impact comparable to a nuclear explosion. Everyone at the base evacuated safely, but the civilians in Hokkaido and Fukushima were not spared. The girl is soon to be sacrificed to a demon god. She is unwilling, but to save everyone, she chooses to sacrifice herself. On the night before the 6th day, Yamato gathers everyone for a dinner to celebrate defeating Alioth. Though the meal is lavish, no one feels like eating, still shaken by the Alioth incident. Everyone considers Yamato's decision to sacrifice the civilians of 2 cities as extreme, but also the most effective way to defeat Alioth. They understand this deep down. Yamato's gathering isn't just a simple meal. It's also because in 2 days the enemy's invasion will end. After defeating the Big Dipper, the survivors will meet with Polaris, who will create a new world according to the wishes of the survivors. At this point, Hibiki states that the purpose of creating JPS was to meet with Polaris and create the new world Yamato envisions. Everyone present understands the truth. Yamato explains that the new world cannot be entrusted to the incapable. You have 2 days to decide whether to obey or die, he says. That evening, Nita reflects on the day's events. Just defeating the remaining 2 messengers would end all of this, and they could survive. But will things really progress as she hopes? Makoto explains that their trump card against the 6th messenger tomorrow is the evil god Lug. Nita is the only suitable person to be possessed by him, but the likelihood of surviving the possession is 0. To save everyone, Nita still chooses to sacrifice herself. Polaris sent the 6th messenger, Mizar, whose appearance is virus-like. It can infinitely divide and reproduce, capable of engulfing the Earth in less than a day. Any attack only accelerates its division rate. The only way to defeat it is with the evil god Lu, whose summoning demands a body for possession. The chance of surviving the possession is 0. Nita, after reading the last text from her parents, resolved to proceed. At that moment, JPS personnel escorted her to the summoning site. Mizar showed signs of appearing in Tokyo. Hibiki noticed Nita was missing, and Daiichi was also unaware of her location. However, they saw on the monitors that Nita was being used as a sacrifice. Hibiki urged Yamato to stop the summoning, but Yamato explained that the enemy was an endlessly multiplying monster, beyond their current means to handle. Defeating Mizar required this sacrifice. As Mizar's presence grew stronger and it appeared in Tokyo, swallowing skyscrapers in its path, the situation became critical. The summoning ceremony began, and Nita screamed in agony. Everyone received a message from the Dead Face site showing Nita's tragic death. Unable to stand by, Hibiki ran out. There were only 130 seconds left before Nita's mental breakdown. Her body could only be possessed by Lu, but she couldn't control it. At this point, they activated the Lug control device, allowing Yamato to control Nita's body, while Nita maintained control over Lug's mind. The system showed successful control. Carrying Lug, Nita flew towards Tokyo and reached the Dragon Stream. She controlled Lu to use the Divine Spear, releasing the power sealed within the Dragon Stream. A golden explosion occurred, and an endless black dragon emerged, their trump card against Mizar. An underling reported that there were only 60 seconds left before Nita's mental collapse. Yamato immediately controlled the black dragon to engulf Mizar. Mizar was indestructible. It could only be swallowed and transported to another parallel universe. The Earth in that parallel universe is unfortunate, I could only say. With 10 seconds left, Nita could no longer control Lu. The black dragon accelerated, devouring Mizar completely. But new troubles arose. Nita's mind and body were now occupied by the evil god Lug. Hibiki attempted to awaken Nita, but was knocked down by an attack from her. Headquarters reported, "She is no longer Nita. She has been completely taken over, losing her personality." Yamato, using the control button, spoke with Lug, who angrily said, "You imprison gods and use them as tools, despicable humans." Yamato calmly replied, "Nita's mortal body will not last more than a few minutes. Stop resisting." However, Lu flew towards the JPS headquarters, seemingly intent on killing everyone there. The JPS organization was prepared, summoning numerous lesser demons to attack Lu. But Lu, being a malevolent god, effortlessly unleashed countless light waves, instantly killing all the personnel at the headquarters. At that moment, Hibiki appeared and pleaded with Lu to return Nita. Lug mockingly replied, "This girl's spirit has already dissolved into nothingness." and her body will soon collapse. Choosing to let me possess her has led to this outcome. When Hibiki was knocked down, Yamato caught him and said, "What are you hesitating for? She is no longer Nita." After speaking, he summoned the demon lord Baal, ready to kill Lug. Immediately, Hibiki called on Suzaku to stop Baal. Baal punched and dispersed Suzaku. Taking advantage of this moment, Hibiki summoned Byakko and struck Baal, causing him to fall and vanish. At this time, Nita's body was nearly unable to withstand the strain. Lug decided to eliminate Yamato, throwing the divine spear at him. Hibiki quickly pushed Yamato out of the way and astonishingly caught the spear with one hand. The base reported that the power of the Dragon Stream had chosen Hibiki. With newfound strength, Hibiki flew towards Nita. This part is a dramatic love dialogue. Those interested can watch the original scene. In the end, Nita's mind and body are both safely restored. If you could see your own future death, what would you do? Hibiki has fainted from overusing the power of the Dragon Stream and is now lying in bed for examination. Daichi blames himself for his weakness and his inability to help Hibiki every time. Nita was rescued and gained a new demon, Lug. Elsewhere, Alcor is alone in his room, pondering human affairs. At this moment, Bifrons and Bodis arrive. Bodis questions Alcor about how long he will continue to play with humans, stating that this is a trial for humans and he should not interfere. Bodis only wants to see the despair on humans' faces and decides to no longer follow Alcor's orders, preparing to attack him. Alcor simply raises his hand and controls Bodis, whose body twists continuously until it vanishes into nothingness, leaving Bifrons stunned. At JPS headquarters, the doctor has analyzed the code from Nicaea and created a new type of machine in preparation for tomorrow's final battle. In the evening, Eri and Daichi are still searching for demons to buy to enhance their strength for tomorrow, especially since Daichi has not been much help all along. However, a little spoiler. In the Battle of the Seventh Messenger, Daichi will shock everyone. Tomorrow is the last day, and everyone has agreed that after the battle ends, they will remain friends in the new world. They exchanged contact information, and at that moment, everyone's phones received a video from the dead face site. Upon opening, it showed everyone's death scenes. The seventh day has arrived, marking the final day of humanity's trial. The last envoy, Benetnash, resembling a standing egg, has been sent by the gods. It possesses the attributes of the previous 6 envoys, making it an invincible entity. Upon its arrival, Benetnash instantly destroyed several barriers across multiple districts. Faced with this terrifying destructive power, everyone was terrified. Makoto comforted everyone, stating that this was humanity's final challenge. Defeating it would allow humans to create a new world, serving as a pre-battle encouragement. Meanwhile, Hibiki had also awakened. By then, Benetnash had located the JPS headquarters and fired a laser directly at it. Just when everyone thought they were doomed, Yamato had already activated the Bagua array to block this attack. Everyone summoned demons, preparing for a decisive battle to the death. As Benetnash fell from above, crashing towards the Bagua array, everyone took advantage of the standoff with Yamato to command their demons to attack. Facing the demons' relentless assault, Benetnash was covered in blood and wounds. Just as everyone believed they had a chance to defeat it, Benetnash erupted in light, instantly healing its injuries. It then split off a part of itself and emitted interference waves towards the demons, forcing them to be sent back as data. The base's data systems also suffered severe interference. Facing the Horned Angel's sonic attack, Benetnash was disrupted and shattered. It then split off a second part, Fekta, which knocked down the Horned Angel with a strike and subsequently fired a laser, killing the doctor. Makoto, angered, wanted to retaliate, but everyone's demons were still undergoing repairs. Benetnash continued firing lasers at the group. Yamato's Bagua array was nearly overwhelmed. Seeing the dire situation, Yamato canceled the Bagua array and flew towards Benetnash for a one-on-one duel. Yamato's attacks only pushed Benetnash back without causing substantial damage. As Benetnash watched everyone flee, it split off a third part, Megrez, and fired a missile at Hinako, leading to their sacrifice. Benetnash continued firing missiles at the remaining people. At the critical moment when Nita and the others were about to be killed, Suzaku blocked the attack for them. Then Byakko appeared and struck down the Megrez part. Faced with everyone's death, Hibiki fully unleashed, using the power of the Dragon Stream to block the attacks single-handedly. With Hibiki's significant fighting power, Yamato and he managed to repel Benetnasch, but only momentarily. The three parts of Benetnasch recombined, preparing to launch a deadly final strike. The duo's barrier was about to shatter under this attack when suddenly a huge black figure appeared and struck Benetnasch down. Daichi had summoned a demon more powerful than the evil gods Lug and Athena, the evil snowman. After such a long wait, Daichi finally showed his strength. As Benetnasch attempted to fly away, the snowman unleashed magic that caused ice spikes to burst from the ground, piercing Benetnasch's body. Benetnasch retaliated with lasers, but they were completely ineffective against the snowman. The snowman continued its advance, shattering the resplit Fekta with a punch. When Benetnasch tried to recombine and heal, Yamato struck it down directly, eliminating the last envoy sent by the gods. During this 7-day trial, humanity has ultimately survived and is about to meet Polaris. Previously, Yamato expressed his desire to create a world ruled by power and stated he would not hesitate to kill anyone who opposed him. Hibiki, of course, opposed this decision, setting the stage for a final showdown between them. At this time, the Earth began to collapse, and Gears of Fate underground started flying towards the sky, forming a portal. This portal is the gateway to meeting Polaris. Yamato destroyed his phone, intentionally causing his demons to go berserk to prevent Hibiki from interfering with his meeting with Polaris. Facing the rampaging demons, Hibiki, already worn from a great battle, struggled. Just then, Daichi and Nita arrived, summoning Lug and the evil snowman to counterattack. They then sent Hibiki to stop Yamato. Thus, Hibiki summoned Byakko and ran towards the portal. Upon reaching the portal and seeing Daichi and Nita being swallowed by endless darkness, Hibiki entered the portal carrying everyone's hopes to engage in a final battle with Yamato. In the final battle between Hibiki and Yamato, both summoned Byakko and Hellhound. The two demons fiercely clashed, appearing evenly matched, but Hellhound gained the upper hand with a burst of flames. Hibiki quickly used the power of the Dragon Stream to block it. At that moment, Yamato questioned Hibiki about what he meant by survival. Hibiki responded that it involves continuous choices and relentless thinking to move forward into the future. Yamato countered, arguing that such choices lead to repeated mistakes, which have now brought divine judgment upon them. He questioned whether such a world was correct. Hibiki agreed that humans often make mistakes but also possess infinite potential. He criticized Yamato's vision of a power-dominated world as lacking humanity and questioned its correctness. Yamato, finding Hibiki naive, then summoned Neburos and Zhao Gongan, two of the strongest demons at that time. The spectacle intensified as Yamato fused Neburos and Zhao Gongan into the formidable demon king, Satan. Satan's massive hand reached for Hibiki, who activated the Dragon Stream's power, but was effortlessly overwhelmed. Just as Hibiki seemed doomed, the evil snowman appeared and blocked the attack, which left Hibiki in disbelief. At that moment, Hibiki's phone received a new email revealing that everyone's demons had been transmitted to him. What followed was the most thrilling fusion sequence in this anime. Hibiki summoned Berserker and Lug to fuse into the ancient god, Virudaka. He then summoned Lorelei and the evil snowman, merging them into the evil magic mirror. Virudaka and the magic mirror were then fused to create the Dark Lord Palace. Next, Hibiki summoned Suzaku and Athena to combine into the ancient god Arius. He then fused Dark Lord Palace with Byakko to form the Demon King Loki. Finally, ancient god Arius and Demon King Loki were fused to create the ultimate form, Archangel Lucifer. Lucifer extended his hands towards Yamato, releasing a holy light. Yamato immediately suffered a backlash, coughing up blood. Yamato commanded Satan to counterattack, but Lucifer remained unscathed. In the end, the two launched their final attacks. Ultimately, Yamato lost to Hibiki, and Polaris then descended. The world returned to the place where Hibiki was waiting for Daichi. They planned to meet at a cafe, still discussing what they wanted to do after graduation. During their conversation, Daichi mentioned that he had discovered an app called Nikia. By taking a photo of a friend, one could receive a video of that friend's death. The two then headed to the subway station, where they encountered Nida from a neighboring class. Previously, they had not spoken to Nida, But this time Hibiki took the initiative to help Daichi strike up a conversation. It seemed everything changed from that point. The three of them happily chatted together. Unaware, Hibiki found himself tearing up. He could not remember, but he still felt something. Suddenly, they received a death forecast from Nicaea, showing Hibiki being hit by a car. As Train 2 was about to arrive, Hibiki watched it approach safely. Then, memories of everything flooded back to him. He ran towards the JPS headquarters, hoping to see Yamato, but security stopped him. There was no JPS organization there. Just then, a car arrived, and Yamato was sitting inside it.